Good afternoon, Quasar Markets Live. Welcome to our trading mindset moment here with Agnieszka Wood, our trading mindset coach. Agnieszka, how you doing today?
Good, good. Hi, Howard. Hi, everyone. Nice being here again. I feel like I just spoken to you. Time flies, right?
Yeah, we do have you on a couple of times a week because
Right,
we
right.
do think it's really important to get people um, to take a step away to kind of get a reset. That's why I love that we do it at noon. People get through that mayhem of the early morning trading. You were just talking, you like to do a lot of yours around 11. I think this gives people a chance to take a break, to listen to some common sense in the market, so to speak, some ideas on how you can trade better, and prepare yourself to trade better. So it's great to have you. And we got to go right into it. Today's an insane day with all the news. I mean, I feel bombarded, and I got to be honest with you. When you first tried to check in, I had been outside. I told you I like to go with my dog. We had gone to the park down the street to play a little fetch between what's happening in the Middle East,
Right.
the longshoremen strike, the vice presidents and presidential elections. It's just been a little overwhelming, I think. Are how do you sort of explain to your clients and to our viewers, why it is important or how to take a step away from that and take a step back?
Yeah, it's so interesting, and thank you for the question. In fact, it's like there is always something going on, right? And sometimes you have more news, sometimes you have a little less, but there's always something. And we have some things that you can expect. Like, I mean, we have known that those attacks are coming, so you can prepare yourself. And yeah, it will bias you. That's the worst thing. It's not about that that it happens, but it's about how this influences your feeling of fear, or when you get all the good news, because it's not just about bad news, it's also about the good news. Like, how does that bias you in those moments, and how do you then step into the market um, neutral,
Which
because
is so
it's very
important.
hard to
We've
stay
talked about
neutral.
that. That you have to play the hand in front of you. And traders, like when Steve and I came on this morning, we said it's tough, to separate it, but you have to. You have to be able to separate that, or you're going to lose. Quite
Right.
honestly, is part of it. And we saw some irrational selling. Steve actually made a great trade this morning on Humana because all of a sudden it's down 30% because of some bad news. And it was bad news. Bad news is bad news. But was
Right.
it 30% bad news, is what Steve was sort of saying. So, you could see that scared money that we talk about. And that's why I love having you on so we can explain to people to, calm down. Don't be so quick to hit that button sometimes.
Yeah.
Digest. Did it change your thesis? Did it change what you were doing? Or is this
Right.
just an irrational reaction to news?
Right, and it's so interesting because on Friday I will have a podcast that talks just right about that. It's like, don't panic. Yes, things will always happen. There will be always those curveballs from the market, but as long as you have your plan, just take a pause. Don't react. I think that the biggest thing is the difference between response and reaction. And most traders get triggered and they react. They don't take that moment of, let me just first take a moment and see what is happening. How does this affect my plan? Do I even need to take action? Because we all know, like, not taking action is the most challenging thing, right?
You're
Not to
right. It's
react.
amazing. Yesterday we had on one of the traders. I think that's probably one of the most successful traders in the market. Scott Bauer from Prosper Trading, long time market maker for Goldman Sachs. And he talked about it yesterday afternoon, and we brought up this discussion that you and I have on Mondays and Wednesdays because he is so even keeled. And, he gave people, again, another recommendation. Take a look at Costco if it drops to this level because it shouldn't hit that level. And then where you also get really good traders that know where psychology is going to kick in. And he was
Right.
pointing out the 200-day MA is a really psychological, support level. And Costco, for instance, was right at it, and it bounced right at it. So,
Right.
What I love is when we see these things actually in action that you bring up and see how often they are correct.
Right.
He took a deep breath, he, and then then he said,
Yeah.
"What's my response to this?"
Yeah. And it's the most important thing is to know yourself, like knowing how you will be responding to those events, right? Or how you will be responding to those triggers from the market. It was we actually talked about it with my clients today in my Discord room, where we have this within my group program, the Rise Up of the Profitable Trader. We have a Discord, and the first hour, so from 9 till 10, I'm there with them, like literally talking, mostly preventing them from taking hasty decisions,
That's
like keeping
fair.
them
That
busy.
Yeah, well, I mean, a lot of people need it. I know a bunch of traders.
Yeah,
I got to tell about that because that is exactly it. Is the
yeah,
irrational move, the reactionary move, like you said. I love that reaction versus response.
yeah, and
Is really
yeah,
impactful.
and like even sometimes we were talking about, if you set your triggers, it doesn't mean you have to act. Like if your trigger triggers, like if your alert triggers, or you say, okay, this is the entry word that I was looking for, it doesn't mean you have to just like go and jump in, because if you just put the trigger and you were not exactly sure enough to put the order, then probably you put the alert there to go back and see, okay, how is it reacting to that level that I set, that I thought things might happen? Is it actually happening what I thought might happen, right? Because you just never know. So sometimes people will have alerts, but then they hear the alert and they go like, oh yeah, let me jump in. It's like, wait a minute, just
See what it
first
happens
look.
at the alert, right? It's not getting to the alert, it's what happens. Pivot points
Yeah,
being a big point. We had Jay Woods from CMT on, the executive director of basically the largest organization that does professional technical analysis.
right,
And a couple of things, like I said, I love that the way everything is tying in here on Quasar Markets right now when it comes to the different educators, because they're in such different fields. He would
mm,
be almost on the exact opposite side of you, where it's more a quant trading look of it. But like we said, you technical analysis doesn't prepare you for missiles being launched at Israel. And
right,
there has to be that mix, and you have to learn, like you said, your response, your reaction. What is that? What is the difference between the two that you just brought up? I think is
right,
immensely important for traders out there. But all of this ties in. To be a well-rounded trader, you can't just have one aspect. If you're just a one-trick pony, as I call it, and all it is technical analysis, and you're not looking at fundamentals, if you're not taking the psychology of the markets into play and things, then you're probably losing, wouldn't you say?
yeah, yeah. The thing is that most traders, at least that I speak to, they know what to do. They have the knowledge, they have read so many books, they know the analysis, they know exactly, like, if they are not in a trade, they can show you the perfect trade, right?
Right.
Or the perfect setup.
It's when they get in it they
They
get
can spot
nervous.
it, right? But then when you're financially and emotionally invested, it's a completely different story. And now, how well are you prepared to handle that? Like having a plan, you can have a plan, but most people actually have really trouble to execute it. Just
Yeah,
to follow
without a
what they,
doubt, without a doubt.
yeah.
As you've
And that's
talked
why you need
about.
that second part, right?
Yeah.
That's where you need to build all the skills and the good habits to stop thinking about you have to jump into a trade, about all your beliefs that you are missing a trade, that you are not going to get any other opportunity, like all the things people tell themselves that gets them into trouble.
Absolutely. Well, that's a great segue. Up on the screen, as you see, I have your Trader's Good
Yes.
Habit Tracker. Again, underneath Agnieszka right now is a QR code that gets you directly to her site and her stuff. And this is all stuff that she gives away. And I wanted to bring this up because I think this goes into getting people into good habits. And what I've found is that traders that have and not necessarily this type of thing, but that have a checklist for themselves, maybe of what they're going to do to make a trade, don't look at things like this. So I did want to bring it up and ask you to kind of walk through, what made you, how did you come up with this, first of all? And I'll pull up, the actual, I have the first pages of that.
Yeah. Yeah. So you will see that there is a lot of different habits that I put as an example, right? So this is something that I always recommend to clients because we trade how we live. If you're not disciplined in life, you're not disciplined in trading. If you're not consistently doing things in your daily life, you will not be consistent in trading. So you can support yourself, like on the one hand, yes, you can do everything on the trading side that supports you, but then if you do it also from your daily life perspective, it will be much stronger. So this is like there's a lot of different apps online that you can do, right, to track habits. I do it myself. I love it because it keeps me disciplined. It's actually it helps me to see how well I am, like which parts of my routine influence how I feel, how I sleep, how I trade, how well, how happy I am in my life. So I connected it to trading just to give an insight, because you will see that at the bottom, like once you fill in on your, on your all your habits, then and put your P&L, you will see actually a graph forming at the bottom that will show you, depending on what you do every day and comparing it to your results, your trading results, you can find this perfect formula for yourself saying, oh, okay, so if I go to bed late on a regular basis, it influences my trading because apparently I trade worse because I have negative P&L those days. So the idea is not like prop as many habits as possible into your day, but just test different ones and see how it influences you.
Right. I love it for a couple of different reasons. I think part of it is, like I said, most traders that are successful have a sheet like this that says, did you look at the price to earnings? Did you look at its dividend? Did you check, whatever it might be? And then from the technical analysis side, checking off, it just broke through MA resistance. It just did X, Y, and Z. But they don't take a look at their life like that. And, in the 24/7 trading day that we now have, and especially for someone who trades a lot of crypto myself, I'm finding that I started to use this myself in the last week. And what it is a couple things. I'm finding out where my objections are, so to speak. You know what I mean, too? Because there's something that I put on there maybe that I think is a habit of mine that I'm really saying, you know what, I definitely am not doing this on a regular basis. And, it gives a little bit more of a work-life balance to it. That's what I liked about it, is it points out, take time to smell the roses. And it's going to be weird, and I didn't tell you this beforehand, but I'm going to relate it to the game of golf. And what I found is I was a very, very avid golfer for many years, and I read something called A Good Walk Unspoiled. And it gave you these kind of psychological triggers that you get hit with in the game of golf and that people tend to do. And it had a checklist of things like, as you walk in the course, look at the nature around you. As you walk in the course, keep your head up. These things that really come into what you have on your sheets, and that, and what it is I trade better when I'm in a good mood. There is no doubt, and what I'm looking for is the correlation now from your sheet is to what put me into that, being able to fine tune that even one more step further to say that. And, that's how I looked at this sheet personally, was, developing better habits and getting to that perfect equilibrium, I think, in your day where you find that success rate. And I think if more people do that, again, you take a step back.
Yes, totally. And, this is really, it's so important to understand why you need to do those things. Like a lot of traders would say, yeah, I know I should meditate, but I don't like meditating. It's not the matter whether you like it or not. It's just something that you need to do if
Right.
you want to trade successfully. This is not an option or a like, I just, I think like if you choose to, I don't know, become a driver, you will have to touch the steering wheel to drive. It's not an option. That's just
Right. Yeah,
part of it. You know what I
if you
mean?
don't settle yourself and you're always irrationally looking at the information and reacting as opposed to responding,
Yes.
then you're always going to lose. Don't get me wrong, you'll have that one day where your mood matches where the market's at and you'll hit a home run, but there'll be, long gaps of losses
Yeah.
that are in there. So I do think
Yeah.
that is what one of the bigger parts that I took away from it too is, and as you said, it's not necessarily that you have to do every single one of the habits on here. You can adjust it to your lifestyle. I adjusted mine to what fit because you don't have dogs on here, and I needed to have
That's
take
fine.
Moochie out for a fetch. Because for me that's calming. Like I just laugh at this stupid dog running and her ears
Yeah.
wagging. It's whatever makes you take that step back and
Yeah.
sort of bring it down. And like I said, I do think that it all ties in together is what's I love about the program that I've seen from your stuff. Everything that you're putting in here is somehow also being expressed by the other educators at Quasar Markets that are in very different fields, quite honestly, or different parts of. We're all in the
Mhm.
same field of financial education, but the different aspects of it, of technical analysis, of really fundamental or based upon volatility and these
Right.
things, is so much of them are intersecting that it's amazing to me. But that none of it brings that holistic approach that we're trying to do here. So that's why I really love it, is
Thank
being able to tie these things in. Is I can't wait to see what my performance looks like in 6 months. As I take it, and I do want to stress to people that you don't just overnight turn on a switch because you start using the good habit tracker and everything is going to change. It's the same with all trading. It's a matter of learning and then evolving, I guess. Is that how you would describe it in your coaching?
you. It's so interesting that you actually mentioned that because, yes, it will not happen overnight, but it can happen incredibly fast.
Oh yeah.
And the I can tell you, what I see from my clients is that once they start to implement those good habits and the things into their routine, like for example, meditation, breathing, relaxing your nervous system, and all the tools I give them, um, it's more like you have a problem, right? As a trader, you have a problem. You're too reactive. You cannot control emotions. But that's when you start focusing on it. Yeah, but I need to control my emotions. I want to control my emotions. It's like, yes, that's your problem. That's the symptom actually of the problem.
It
But
gives you more
you will
stress.
Yes, you will not find a solution here. The solutions are here. And
Yeah.
this is the box of the solution. So start putting your attention here, and you will notice how soon this will be gone. And most of people are so used to talking about their problem and like turning around. It's like, oh yeah, but it's so difficult. It's like, stop, just stop. Start doing the good thing like you would go when you go to the gym. You want to have good body,
Yep.
you go to the gym and you start working out. You start using the machines. And if you want to have good biceps, you will use one machine, right? There's a tool for every purpose. So
Sure.
ask yourself, what is my biggest challenge? What is the biggest thing I'm struggling right now? What is now the tool for that to help me with it? And if this is a discipline, if you see I don't have consistency, okay, how do I develop consistency? Not just in trading, in general. How can
Right.
I become more consistent so that I can consistently tell my head to stop tempting me to jump into trades that I didn't plan, right? That mental resilience, mental strength. And by building those habits, like I have clients who have at this point, they're actually spending more time daily on preparing, on meditation, on visualization, on stuff that are around trading than on trading itself. But they don't need much time to trade because they're banking, because they go there and there's like nothing that stops them to actually go take good trades.
Right.
Or
they actually can see what's in front of them through the trees,
they
so to
don't spend
speak.
time on fighting. You know what I mean? They
Yeah.
don't spend time like what the biggest part of the time that you're fighting the market, like you're getting to a trade and then it's a waste of your time and your energy. So try to minimize the time that you're actually exposing yourself to those high risks, stress, because as you say, it's not easy to trade when you're stressed, right?
Oh yeah.
It's like
No,
rational
yeah,
decisions.
without a doubt, and like Steve says, it's a 24-hour market. We're not
Yeah,
24-hour
yeah.
traders.
So,
You
so
can't
after
do
five
that. You
days
can't.
of that,
Yeah,
you're
that's
depleted.
exactly. It's so important to set up good, a good foundation. It's as simple as eating a good breakfast, like you said, eating healthy food. All
Yeah,
those things. I see a difference in my trading if I don't. It's the same way when I was an athlete in high school and college. If I didn't set up myself correctly in the morning, then I wasn't going to perform well in the afternoon. And
yeah,
that's all you're doing is reinforcing those ideas that we know in our head we should be doing. What I love is that a lot of the things that you do make it simple for someone to break through that wall that we sometimes have between knowing
yeah,
what we should do and doing what we should do.
exactly. That wall of
Um,
resistance, that just sometimes it's like we think for a long time, oh, I should be doing this. I should be doing this. Like, it would be much quicker and easier just to do it. Stop thinking you should
without a
be doing
doubt, without it is we set up the like I said, you set up these walls yourself. And I do think, and I'm not a psychologist, so but we set up these walls because it gives us a crutch to use later when something goes wrong. If we actually follow through with
it.
everything that we should do, then maybe we're not good traders at that point, and none of us want to hear that. So but you see that in everything. Like you said, and just if you want to get healthier and you want to get at your body and lose weight and you have to go to the gym to do so, you have to go to the gym to do so. The same way
Right.
that if you don't get your mind right before you start to trade, then you're not going to trade right. You're not going to lose weight and you're not going to get your body in shape if you don't actually go to the gym or eat healthier. So,
Yeah, exactly.
it goes to the
It's a
cause and
common
effects.
sense, right? It's a
Yeah.
common sense, but for some reason in trading, people get into trading and they think it's just gonna happen somehow magically. Something will come over them and then they'll be millionaires. It's like
Right.
maybe your expectations are not entirely realistic. What do you think?
Yeah, no, that's a hard one to have with people, especially when I was with Prosper Trading Academy and ran a crypto room. We started it at the height of the 2020, pump. And my results in the room were just beyond ridiculous. We bought Solana at $6 and then sold at 100 and something. So,
Yeah,
but I had to warn people, or people would say, "Well, what's the next Solana?" There isn't. Listen, that comes around so very it doesn't happen that you
yeah,
can't expect that to be the regular. And I think that's part of the reason is that you do see, unfortunately, you go to TikTok and you go to YouTube and people put on these ridiculous wins. And yeah, they're possible, but they're not the normal. And I think that's what we always try to tell people. That's not the normal. If you build up the right routine and you do it the right way and your expectations are to build maybe 2% per day, you know what that adds up to in a year? If you
right,
just
right.
increase 2% a day, that's in a 5-day trading week you just went up 10%. And if you go up 10% your portfolio every week, that's 500% a year. I'm not even good at math.
Yeah,
um so
yeah,
it's some of these things is setting the right thing, the
uh,
right goals,
yeah,
and putting it into perspective. Is important because sometimes people do have these unrealistic goals, and you've got to say at that point, I've walked away from clients said, we're not the right spot for you because we're not going to tell you that we have 100xer for you. We don't have this, foolproof method that never loses. That's why we have risk management involved in every decision we make, because if you don't, maintain, and if you crash yourself out of the game, then you don't have any money left to invest. So
I'm actually really curious if you do have a method like this, if you tell people, okay, this is a system that never fails, will people actually be able to make money with it? Because you still you, right? You still get greedy, and
Right. So you only.
the more certainty you have about something, the greedier you become, and the more certain that it's gonna work, and then you push it too hard, and then it
Yeah,
doesn't.
risk management
That's
goes
the
out the
problem.
window. That for a lot of people, that's where they
Yeah,
make that bad decision, and they, FOMO kicks in and everything else. Agnieszka,
right.
I have pulled up your trading mindset tip QR code. Could you tell our viewers a little bit about what they do get with this? Because I've been blown
Yeah,
away in my emails I'm getting every morning now. What they get
awesome,
for free?
awesome. Yes, it's for free. So I prepared a sequence. This is really, you can see it as a sort of a 2 week crash course on the process to transform your mindset. So it's based on the 3 steps that I teach in my paid program in great details, and of course guide through those steps in person, through the in that group program. But the trading mindset tips is really a sort of a introduction to those 3 steps, which you can walk through on your own. I say introduction, but it's still pretty in depth because
It
it
is.
explains you what the step is and gives you actionable tools to start going through the steps. Like, for example, building awareness, the first step. Like, what can you do to build awareness? And you have few emails on just awareness. Then you go into discovering the narrative, which is the second step. It's like, okay, now you have awareness, and now is it like, how am I sabotaging myself? Because now I know it's me. Now I'm aware enough to see that it's actually me, not the market. So what's the dynamic? What beliefs are stopping me from actually moving forward? And how do I talk myself into all those self-sabotaging behaviors? And then from there, you move to step 3, which is shifting your mindset, changing your beliefs, and getting on the path to consistent profit. And the whole thing is to get you out of the failing cycle, out of the sabotaging behaviors, which keeps people in failing cycles.
Right.
Um, Having, sort of a carrot, like, okay, you're almost there, and then you're doing good, and then you blow it up again. So to get you from there on the path to consistent profit in just 12 weeks. So this is a great start if you just want to get a taste of what I teach and get you started. I have a lot of people who went through it and they say, yes, I want to join your group program, which is fantastic because we will be opening enrollment again in December. And I already have people who want to sign up. So it's limited. We have only 12 spots. So I'm
Absolutely.
really, really very excited also seeing the results from my clients that are going through the program right now. It's pretty incredible, really, what they have achieved after 1 month and, after years of trying and battling the market. So
It's got to be
very
so
excited about
rewarding for
it.
you when you do see that. I know as an educator, I love when you see that light bulb go off, when you see
Yeah.
when you go into like that Discord in the morning, or for me, a room like this, and you see people's, smiles, or they're just sending you the notes.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
great. We're going to get a little bit more into this next week on the
Awesome.
trading mindset tips. That was a little teaser just to get you guys
That's
started.
right.
I can't tell you enough. Go to Agnieszka's site. Take advantage of these free programs. I'm going to tell you down the road, you're going to want to join her course because everything I've done so far has been amazing.
Thank you.
It is just a first class program. Thank you so much for joining me again today, Agnieszka.
My
Have
pleasure.
a great day and the rest of your week. We'll see you on Monday.
Awesome. Thank you so